Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the football and pro wrestling podcast we bring you each and every day. If you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button and drop a like on the video. We are bringing you a match reaction. Marseille versus Liverpool, 3-0. Great performance by the Reds. But again, you know, I don't know, the looking at this season and the way it has panned out and stuff like that, you look at this now, whatever it is, 12-13 games unbeaten, this run that we're on and stuff like that. Last night was probably the first game in this unbeaten run where we actually looked convincing. You know, we spoke about the Barnsley game, we were white-knuckling it until the last 10 minutes against a Barnsley side. You know, you go out against that Burnley side and it was just depressing to watch. You know what I mean? Just void of anything. Then you go out last night and you can see there's a bit of cutting edge to it. Now, there's still little parts of that game that you could critique. You know, like Mo Salah coming back off the tournament, you would have thought he'd be sharp, you know. It's not like he wouldn't be sharp and, you know, missing some gilt edge opportunities. Ekitike unlucky hitting the bar. Florian Wirtz should be pulling the trigger much quicker. And I think at times that's our problem when we're in front of goal in that final third. You know, there's a doubt inside us from the criticism this season and stuff. And rightly so. And that doubt still exists there. So when you get into that position, it's like they're taking that extra touch or they're taking that extra second or two that you don't get the time to get. So you get crowded out inevitably. Or, you know, this is what happens. You don't get to pull the trigger, or you get blocked, or you get crowded out, and then the chance goes away. So where we create an awful lot of chances in games, and even big chances, you know, we don't convert anywhere near the amount that we should. I think we still should be a bit better in our set piece. I thought they were very clever last night. Dom talking after the game about how when he's seen there was no player lying at the back of the wall, he knew it was an opportunity to shoot the ball under the wall, which I thought was fantastic to hear, you know, because one of the things we've complained about this season is where we're so regimented and nearly overcoached and overtrained. At times on the pitch, we don't just use our own fucking football nous and awareness at times in some of these situations. So it was great to see that last night, you know. I thought the play and the interchanging was really good. I thought Joe Gomez at the back was really good. And of course, we'll give a shout out to Ibu as well. We hope everything is all right there. We don't know the full extent of why he was missing, but we just hope and pray everything is good and stuff like that and all. So thoughts and prayers with Ibu at this time, whatever the situation is. But it's really important that we use that performance, and this is where we haven't this season, you know. Like, you come out of that Marseille performance, very, very good. Praise to the gaffer, he gets it right. You know, he's had plenty of criticism this year. His job has been on the line on numerous occasions and stuff like that. You know, Xavi Alonso waiting in the wings, always that kind of threat there and stuff like that, you know. But last night he really got it right, you know. He picked a real good team against a good Marseille side. With plenty of talent in it, and they did create some of their chances and stuff like that and all. Mason Greenwood throughout the match was a threat, and we have to be aware of that as well, that at times we do still cough up chances. But if you look at that game overall last night, it could have been 5-6-7-1 really, you know. But I think we just need to be a bit more clinical in front of goal. I think it feels like a casualness, but it's not a casualness in front of goal. I think it's something different. I think it's because we go in and we create a lot of chances. You know, we don't show the divine respect on the chances that we create. So we kind of go in and we go, okay, I'll bang this one, but if it doesn't win, it doesn't really matter because I know I'm going to create a load more. And I think it's that kind of, it's hard to put your finger on it, you know what I mean? Because you look at the chance, you look at that Mo Salah one, you know, where he broke into the box and you're going, not only did he miss it, he missed it by a mile, you know what I mean? And it's just, the Mo Salah of old would just drop a shoulder there and slide that into the left hand side of the goal, go off and celebrate, you know what I mean? Ekitike again, very, very lively, unlucky for the first goal being offside. It was a lovely movement, just went a little bit too early, but really nice getting in front of the defender and slipping the ball past the keeper. Shame it didn't count. But yeah, I just think at times we really, really look good. At times you look at the team and you think, how is this team so far behind Arsenal? And then you look at the run that we're on, and that run is, it's probably in the history of the club, probably the most unflattering unbeaten run we've ever been on in terms of how we've played, in terms of the sprinkling of results within that run. Too many draws, too many opportunities coughed up, too many winning positions given away. And now we're away to Bournemouth, I think it is, this weekend. And, again, I go into that game and I think, you'd nearly be a brave Liverpool fan to be predicting a win, And that's the irony of this season. The irony of this season is all the bits and pieces are there to be successful. Okay, we've had some injuries like other teams and stuff like that as well. But all the bits and pieces of the jigsaw are there to be successful. It's just only at certain times this season have we put those pieces into the jigsaw in the right position. And I think that's really been the problem. We don't lack the talent, although some of it has taken a little bit of time to settle in and stuff. But we don't lack the talent to go out and perform. You know what I mean? That shouldn't be an issue. The issue for us is we just don't go out and perform. And that's often why, at times this season, I will protect Arne Slot. At times this season I will look, like you look for instance last weekend, that Burnley game. Everyone's back on the hashtag slot out train and stuff like that, and I turn around and I go, well, what more could he do? I mean, he picked the strongest team he had, he made substitutions when they need to be substituted, and we still look unflattering, we still look flat, we still look not ready to grasp that opportunity and get that win. And I don't think that's a coaching thing, and I don't think that's an Arne Slot thing. I think that's just players just not performing. And you can get that in games. You can have games against weaker opposition. And more often than not, it happens against weaker opposition. Where you go out and you just allow weaker opposition to get a foothold in a game. And when they get a foothold in a game, instead of rising above that, what happens is you come down to their level and you start playing their level of football. And that's where it all gets unhinged then, because players are looking around and they're in an unfamiliar situation. It doesn't relate in any way to coaching. It doesn't relate in any way to what you worked on that week for the game. And you get lost in it, and all of a sudden 90 minutes has gone by and you're going, fuck, here we go. So that's the real problem there. So I would hope that they take that Marseille game and they build on that now going into the Bournemouth game the weekend. But then the issue is as well is, while we're very good at times in Europe, and this campaign has been a little bit indifferent, but in general we've been okay in Europe, it's the distraction of going away from the grind of the Premier League, where you're in front of your own fans giving you horrific abuse at times for playing so bad. And you get that little bit of respite, if you like, by going away to an away game. There's less fans there. You can play with a little bit more freedom. Things are just a little bit looser. I think personally last night, I think if that game is at Anfield, I don't know whether Dom thinks that way about that free kick. Because I think because of the level of coaching and the level of drilling and the level of how we've shackled players this year to play in a certain way and in a certain position, I don't know whether we do that if we're at home. I think there's a certain freedom that we play with when we're away, and mainly away in Europe or in different competitions, not necessarily away in the Prem. So we will do a preview for the Bournemouth game, but they're just my thoughts on the game against Marseille. Look, very happy with the performance. I think we can just be a little bit more clinical in the final third, and I think it will reap rewards, because I think once you get through this phase now, Qarabag at home up next, I don't think it'll be a problem. I think we've probably cemented our position now in the top 8 for automatic qualification, which is key as well in terms of, it's very important in terms of this coefficient as well, that 5th spot in the Champions League as well, which is so important, because it could become a determining factor this season, because we just don't know how that sort of race for the 4th and 5th position is going to pan out, you know. With Chelsea, United looking like they're on a bit of an upswing now with Carrick. Let's see what the Arsenal game brings. So we have to be aware of that as well, you know, that through our own fault and through dropping points against lesser competition, you know, we've allowed these teams somewhat back into that conversation. And that creates a problem as well, you know, because it becomes a lot more competitive than it needs to be, which adds to the pressure that we don't really need. So that's it, folks. That's a breakdown. That's all I can think at the moment, thoughts wise. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. How did you feel about the performance? How did you feel about the players, the lineup, the whole lot? I thought, I have to say, last night, I think the gaffer got it right. And I think we have to be, as fans, we have to be able to turn around and say that. You know, regardless of how you feel about whether you want change or you don't want change, how you feeling about the transfer window at the moment, we haven't really done a thing there either. Doesn't sound like we're going to be doing a whole lot in it either. So that could determine as well this top 4, top 5 position as well. If we just sit on our hands, have we got enough to get that home and host? Chelsea potentially making moves. We know Man United have had meetings in London this week about signing players potentially on loan and stuff like that. So if those two teams strengthen up and we don't, does it weaken our position as well going forward in terms of that top 4, top 5 race? Let's see what happens. But listen, we'll take the result, we'll enjoy it, because at times the performances this season have been tough to take, namely last weekend as well, just horrific against Burnley. So let's see, can the lads take that performance into the Bournemouth game at the weekend? And if they can, then we might be able to build a bit of momentum and a bit of confidence that, yeah, we're able to go out now and perform as well. You know, not just get a result over the line, not just, you know, not just the 3 points, but go out and actually perform in a way that we need. We're going to be heading into the business end now of the Champions League very shortly. We're obviously ploughing away as well in the FA Cup, and we're obviously in a real dogfight for this top 4, top 5 position. So yeah, let us know your comments on the video, and of course, if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like in the video. Marseille 0, Liverpool 3. Great result for the Reds. Let's keep it going. Up the Reds.